Fans all around the world have gravitated to certain disciplines based on their favorite fighters and memorable moments inside the octagon. And these are some of the most popular fighting styles in the UFC, and the fighters best at it. Overview. Mixed martial arts incorporates numerous martial arts into the game. Previously, competing in high-level MMA organizations like the UFC required only one or two martial arts. But in the present day, it's necessary to be good at everything. However, some people are just naturally better at a certain martial art than others, whether it's because it's their background, they've trained a lot, or something else. Today we will discuss fighters who, in my opinion, are at the top of every martial arts category. Let's begin the video. Let's start with Alexander Volkanovski for boxing. Number 1. Alexander Volkanovski. Alexander Volkanovski used boxing to defeat all of his opponents. Volkanovski has destroyed Brian Ortega, Holloway, Yair Rodriguez, and the Korean Zombie on the feet. Nobody has been able to stand up with Alexander Volkanovski on the feet. I don't really blame him for having dodgy kicks because he's just like 5'5". However, I believe Volkanovski to be the UFC's best boxer. I think it's difficult to believe that anyone can surpass Volkanovski in terms of boxing. He successfully eliminated the majority of his rivals. He has excellent defense, darting skills, and also lightning-fast hands. In my opinion, he is the greatest fighter in the UFC, and he is a very good boxer. Number 2. Bo Nickal. To combat that, we have wrestling. Although there are many wrestlers in the UFC at the moment, Bo Nickal is my choice for the best one. I believe Bo Nickal rules wrestling. I'm sure a lot of people will be considering Islam and Khabib. They have more sambo or judo-type styles, in my opinion. Bo Nickal is, in my opinion, the greatest when it comes to pure wrestling. He cannot be stopped by anyone. He is among the greatest MMA wrestlers that we have ever seen. He's very good at combining his strikes and takedowns. Number 3. Charles Oliveira. Aside from wrestling, we'll discuss BJJ or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Let's see who is now among the best with Jiu-Jitsu in the UFC. I think we should award it to Charles Oliveira. The fact that he has won the most submission wins in UFC history is fascinating. Everywhere he looks, he can find a submission. He is able to combine Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu techniques with striking. He's not very good at wrestling. However, Oliveira possesses extremely advanced Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. His striking has also really improved recently. Oliveira plays both defense and submission offense quite effectively. He's also quite skilled at combining his other skills with his Jiu-Jitsu. However, he's the finest when it comes to pure Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Next up, number 4, Stephen Thompson. We're now going to try another striking martial art. I'm going to select karate for this time, and I think it will be difficult not to choose Stephen Thompson. Obviously, there were a lot of karate warriors back then. For instance, we had Lyoto Machida, but if we're talking modern MMA, I'm going to have to go with Stephen Thompson. He's a champion in karate after all. He also outstrikes the majority of his opponents. I think he's one of the best strikers in UFC history. He is incredibly skilled, quick, and technical. If he had a little bit more killer instinct, he'd probably be a monster. But I'm glad he's having fun fights now. However, when it comes to karate, he will be the best player. Let's go on to judo now. Number 5. Islam Makhachev. Islam Makhachev is arguably the best judo fighter in the UFC today. He's got some insane trips, but others would argue that Charles Oliveira, who is supposed to be a top grappler, is the greatest. But Islam Makhachev has to get the credit in terms of judo. Charles Oliveira is also insane at Sanborn wrestling, but here, we're talking about just pure judo. While I know John Jones has excellent judo as well, I'll give it to Islam. He possesses some of the UFC's best takedowns. His trips and his slams are equally fascinating. He just picks people up, slams them, or trips them. It's difficult to deny that Islam Makhachev possessed some of the UFC's best judo. Finally, there is kickboxing. Last but not least, number 6, Israel Adesanya. Since kickboxing and karate are two distinct martial arts, I will discuss them separately. I will give it to Israel Adesanya. He's never really been outstruck in the UFC. He's managed to outstrike Marvin Vettori, Jared Cannonier, Paulo Costa, Robert Whittaker, and Alex Pereira. Everyone who needed to come against him managed to outstrike. He is undoubtedly the finest kickboxer in the UFC and possesses all the necessary talents. It's quite difficult to argue against. In the past, he had also won the Glory Kickboxing Championship. and he's excellent at keeping the fight on the feet. He's always able to keep it on his feet against people who try and take him down. As a result, he consistently wins in battles. Finally, these are the top UFC fighters in their respective arts. This is not a conclusive list of all who are notable, but those who are both popular and who are arguably the best at their craft. However, remember to leave your thoughts in the space provided below for comments. Let's meet again with another interesting video.